Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Ramble in the Jungle. I am Arvind, and as usual, we have Akash. What's up, Akash? How's the morning today?
Good, good. Like always, it's fairly bright and early. The sun was extremely yellow,
Oh,
which is good. But
you
yeah,
did watch sunrise.
yes, I can see it from my window, but it's kind of blocked by the trees. But that's a good thing. More nature. But
Yeah,
yeah, good sunrise, good morning, and good Sunday.
that's great because we need we need both of us to be in uh, our brains to be working properly because we'll be talking about a very interesting topic today. It is about how to get rich and how we can acquire wealth. The reason I thought we could talk about this is because recently I reread actually the 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferris. We both know Tim Ferris, and for the people who don't know Tim Ferris,
Not
it's
personally though.
not personally, obviously. Yes, I should make that clear. Tim Ferriss is, well, it's very hard to describe him. He's a lot of things. He's an investor, venture capitalist, podcast host, which most people know him as. And his podcast, The Tim Ferriss Show, is pretty good and pretty big as well, where he interviews a lot of these professionals, athletes, business owners, CEOs, and talk about their mindset, their routines, their productivity. It's pretty good. Like, you can learn a lot from his podcast. And I really like how he questions his guests. It's not very random, like how Joe Rogan does it. I mean, credit to Joe Rogan, he gets out a different side of a person, and Tim Ferriss gets out uh, a different side of the person. So yeah, that's actually why I enjoy Tim Ferriss's show. And apart from that, he has done a lot of crazy things in his life. He has a Guinness record in tango. When he competed in Argentina, he has competed in Chinese kickboxing and won tournaments. He's done a lot of crazy stuff like that. Uh, so he wrote this book, The 4 Hour Work Week, back in 2007, right? And when it came out, it was one of the most popular books at that time, and it was so for a couple of years. So, but if you look at it in 2021, I kind of feel like the idea uh, is sort of overused. So, what is this idea of the 4 Hour Work Week? What it says is that, and I'll read you the subtitle of the book. It is Escape the 9 to 5, Live Anywhere, and Join the New Rich. Uh, so he explains how he personally he sort of quit renting out his time for money, like working 12 hours a day in a big company, and he started focusing on working just 4 hours a week, like couple of hours, 4 hours a week, like couple of hours, a couple of days in a week, just working that time, and just traveling and doing things that he actually enjoys, and still making money, right? It's a very interesting concept, but right now I see it's overused because a lot of people are doing it right now. But that doesn't mean there isn't no room for anybody else to do it. If we, for example, choose to do it right now, we can still go ahead and do it. Uh, but there are certain things that he describes, I think, which we will discuss, is the principles of acquiring wealth and principles of time and how it relates to money, or how money relates to time, and how a person, especially in early 20s like we are, how we sort of uh, think about acquiring wealth before we reach our 30s, right? So that is what this conversation is going to be about. So we both have read books on this topic, but a disclaimer is that we both are not not yet there. We're not yet the wealthy people that we will be talking about. But I think Akash put it very well earlier when we were talking about this. Is that we'd rather talk about the people's journey about getting rich than the ones who've already gotten rich and talking about their experience. Both are valuable, but as people in our 20s, I think we sort of listen to the people in their 20s who are looking at strategies to gain wealth. Right, Akash? Do you have any? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think it's better to look at someone's journey rather than their destination. That's why, I mean, the way I see it is when I watch, and you will vouch for this as well, when uh, when we watch fight movies, for instance, like Rocky Balboa, I would rather see his training montage than his victory. Oh, at least over and over again. Especially is that Rocky movie where he goes to Russia and fights. I'm not sure what the guy's name is, but that training montage is something that I watch over and over and over again, and I don't really care about the victory as much.
Hmm.
But that's the way I see it, at least.
Yeah, that's a very you said it very well. Uh, so okay, so let's first talk about the 4 hour work week, the principle that he describes, and we'll take it from there. Yeah. So what he says is that there are the new rich and the old rich, right? The old rich are the ones who rented out their time, 12 hours a week, 12 hours a day, and they do the 9 to 5, and every year there's inflation, but every year they also get a promotion, and the income increases, but it only increases relative to their time. So if they give less time, their income drops. So if they work less than 12 hours, they also get the money, also the income also decreases. So that's the old rich. The new rich are the people who may not be earning like the absolute income. When you look at the old rich, they may not be earning as much, the absolute income, but the new rich, they are more in control of their time. So let's say an old rich guy is earning 10 lakh a year, okay, and the new rich guy is only earning around 7 lakh a year. uh, but the old rich guy, he's earning the 10 lakh per year by working 12 hours a day, 7 days, not 7 days a week, 5 days a week, 5 to 6 days a week. Whereas the new rich guy is earning the 7 lakh per year by only working, let's say, 10 hours the whole week, or 10 or 12 hours the whole week. So if you look at the income per hour, you'll immediately see that new rich guy is sort of earning, his income per hour is more than the old rich guy, right? So that's the basic principle of this. Uh, you need to make sure that you don't tie your income, your source of income with your money. Sorry, with the time, right? Because once you tie it, there are only 24 hours in a day, right? You can't, if you really want to increase your income by a lot, you really can't, because there are no more hours left in the day for you to work. But once you untie these two, that's when you start seeing things, and that's what a lot of people talk about, right, Akash? Uh, do you have thoughts on that, about time and income and how we can separate the two?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because the what you brought about is the problem of variables, and time is not variable, it's a constant. You have 24 hours, you have certain amount of minutes, certain amount of seconds, and you can only work that much in a particular day.
Hmm.
But if you want to, the second example you gave of the person who was working fairly less and earning slightly less as well, probably was working with the variable of money, where he was trying to build something, either a product or a service, and give it to a number of people, right? And the number of people are always variable. You can never sell something to everybody in the world, right? You're not Coca-Cola or McDonald's. So in order to get richer by the, or let's, if we look at it in terms of an economic sense, um, the marginal benefit of getting richer should be greater than the marginal cost of it. And with respect to renting out your time, which is in the first example you gave, the marginal cost of working an extra hour might not result in the marginal benefit of getting an extra amount of overtime money or something,
Hmm.
but the marginal benefit of selling your product or service to another person in the world,
Hmm.
which is fairly easier than renting out your time for an extra hour in the day, will be worth more than the marginal cost of selling it
Yes.
to that extra person. And this goes back to that visualize values. Jack Butcher's example of build once, sell twice,
Yes.
which is easier than work an extra hour, right?
Yes. So you brought up the interesting point of building something, and how that sort of gives us the income. So I think one of the most important things that people forget is that you can never get rich off your salary, right? No matter, even if it's like 1 crore a year that you're getting, you're still running out your time, right? You won't get rich off your salary. That's the most important thing that we have to remember. But then, so then, what are the other strategies? One thing that you brought up is building something, a product, a product, or having a service, right? Where it's not really tied down to the time. So, for example, let's say, Akash, you write a book. You've spent, let's say, a year, not a year, probably a couple of months writing that book. But then the amount of times that is going to sell, nobody can stop that, right? It can be selling 10 years later, it can be selling 12 years later. Every time it sells, you're getting the money, right? So you've spent a certain amount of time initially to build that product, but then when it's selling, you're making money automatically, even when you're sleeping. And that's the goal that we need to aspire to have something where it's making money even when we are asleep. So there are a lot of examples like that. You make YouTube videos, you make podcasts, you write books, you write blogs, where you only spend a certain amount of time initially to sort of make that, and then it is generating income for the rest of for the every time somebody views that or purchases that, right? So that's about building. Um, do you see any other examples in this, Akash, about building a product?
I think the most recent one is Twitter. I think Twitter has a paywall, or they're working on a paywall. I think that's good because some tweets are really
Yeah, valuable.
uh, worth paying for. Yeah, valuable as hell. So that's that. I think people are recognizing that every platform has the potential to derive value for the creator if he or she is putting out something of value. Whether it starts with YouTube, obviously, it goes on to Anchor and all its podcasting platforms, as well as Twitter right now. Um, and another good example is is Gumroad. There are specific platforms that are being created, which allow people to build something, put it up there, make sure that it can be accessed by everyone in the world, create on and off ramps for payments. So in Gumroad's case, they have PayPal, I think, and allow the creator to sell his or her product to anyone across the world, right? We both know of people who have created stuff on Gumroad and are selling it to several different people in several different countries,
Yes.
and they have specialized knowledge, and they're combining it with a important medium, and they're giving it to someone who requires that specialized knowledge, whether it's fitness, productivity, finance, etc.
Hmm. Yes. So the importance of creator economy. Right now, that's the that's the thing that is going crazy. The creator economy. We are seeing creators left and right, and as obviously there are going to be good and bad, but the quality of it is also increasing along with the quantity. Not just Gumroad is just one platform for you to express for you to create. There's YouTube. There are podcasts like Anchor, if you're doing podcasts, and blog posts. There are Medium, Substack. The platforms to create, it's getting huge along with the creators. It's increasing along with the creators, and that's very important to look at. But then, Akash, one of the arguments for this, whenever I tell this to people, if you want to get rich, you need to have something that can scale without you giving the time, right? So one of the biggest uh, arguments that I not arguments, the opposition that I get for this particular saying is that, well, I don't have the skills. I don't have the skills to create something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, sure, that's what you think, but everybody, like, look at YouTube, man. You've seen the weirdest videos. getting getting millions of views, right? Take example of Mr. Beast. How did he get famous? Do you know how he got famous, Akash? Mr.
No, no, no.
Mr. Beast is one of the most popular, if not the most popular channel on YouTube right now. You know how he started? He started by doing the craziest shit that he thought will get viral. So what did he do? He spent 10 hours saying the word Logan Paul, Logan Paul, Logan Paul, Logan. 10 hours on camera, yeah. And he said,
What?
yeah, I'm not kidding. He said the word, he said PewDiePie 100,000 times on camera, and he counted to 100,000, from 1 to 100,000, on camera. He did all these stupid stuff, like, you don't. And I agree that that may not be the best way to gain popularity, but people forget the hustle. People try for anything for a month, 2 months, and they drop it. uh, if they don't see any results, and they drop it. And I'm not blaming people. Even I've done that with various endeavors that I've taken up. I did drop it after a couple of months because I did not see any results. But then in endeavors where I did see results, I only saw it after, let's say, a 6 month mark, or a 1 year mark, right? And I know it's hard to keep that in mind while we are doing new things, but I think it's really worth it. And that's the thing when you're talking about skills, Akash. Personally, I think one of the skills, even if you don't have skills, if you spend 6 months or 1 year developing a skill that can help you build something, build an asset, I think that's very worth it. Like 1 year, okay, you can work your job, and in the side you can keep learning something that can help you build an asset that will sort of set you free from your 9 to 5, right? And one of those skills I personally think is coding, because
Hmm.
I personally come from that background. I'm not particularly good at it, but I am going, I am learning so that I can be good at it, right? And you come
Hmm.
from a writing background, and you have also seen, and writing is another skill that you can develop that will help you uh, separate your time from your income, right? What are the other skills, and if you can sort of explain how writing can be that sort of a skill that can help you use that as a leverage.
So I think what you touched upon is mediums. Anything that you can use to convey a point, build something. Both coding does that, and both coding and writing do that on a large scale, and it can be conveyed to a lot of people. And more importantly, both coding and writing are important to in their various ways, to any company anywhere in the world, right?
Hmm.
For instance, copywriting can be very general, you can do it
Yes.
at a website. Email writing is something specific. um, Content writing, whether it's content about, say, finance, politics, etc., is again something that is specific. And I'm sure there are variants of coding as well, but the point being, it can be done anywhere in the world. You can be sitting here in Bangalore writing for someone in, say, New York, London, Singapore, whatever.
And people
um,
pay well for these types of writing. That's what most
Especially
people
with the exchange rate,
feel.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
that's why a lot of Indians are getting into this freelance writing, coding culture, where they get paid per project or per word or per piece of code or something that is written, right?
Hmm.
And the point being, this is of a medium which can be done anywhere in the world for anyone in the world, and it doesn't really matter if you're writing it from India or the Philippines or wherever.
Hmm.
Other than that, I think there are other, for instance, designing is another medium that can also be done. Places like Fiverr and Upwork are proofs of that, where you can just go and hire someone for, I don't know, $5 to $500, and he or she can make a good piece of design, whether it's a logo, a document, an intro for YouTube, an outro for YouTube.
Hmm.
Video editing is another great option. The point being, all of these are pivoted on technology,
Hmm.
right? So in order to build a piece of technology, you need code. In order to convey a point, you need word. In order to convey the point better, you need a good sense of design, a good sense of video production. And these are the most important, say, jobs that are at least on freelance websites like angellist.com.
Hmm.
And these are important, but the point being, you have to target a medium, which is coding, designing, writing, editing, etc. You have to target a piece of specialized knowledge where you are the only one who can combine that medium with. For instance, it can be fitness. We've seen a lot of fitness people selling their programs on say Gumroad, or putting up Twitter threads about it, or having a lot of YouTube videos about it.
Hmm.
Um, or a financial topic, whether it's personal finance, corporate finance, etc. It can be personal productivity, like Tim Ferris is an extremely good example. He has several mediums, whether it's podcasts, videos, blogs, books, and that is combined with productivity in various sense. How to use your phone less, how to um, improve your self-defense, how to improve your ketogenic diets, etc.
Hmm.
And he is combining medium with knowledge, which is what we all should do. And if these two have a value to them, so in Tim Ferriss's case, it does have value. In Mr. Beast's case, it did have value, although I honestly couldn't see how, but he's obviously so famous that it must have value to someone out there. Uh, and then it's about finding the people who can take in that value and apply it, and at the end of the day pay you for it through a medium. Like clicking on a YouTube video and liking it is probably a way for you to get paid. Someone reading your blog is a way for you to get paid. Someone using your website and seeing the ad generated there is a way to get paid. So in summary, I think it's find the medium that you can master, combine that with your specialized knowledge, make sure that these two create a sense of value, find someone who will receive and pay for that value, and repeat.
Yeah, another key distinction is that you don't have to be the best at what you do when you're starting off, right? Let's say, like whatever Akash said, combining a couple of niches together and you being there, you don't have to be the best at it. Let's say fitness and coding. If you're combining those two somehow by creating, you don't have to be the best at it initially, but you should aim for that level of mastery because once you're the best at what you do, the income never stops coming, right? The money never stops flowing. That's the thing. And yes, as Akash rightly said, identifying that medium and developing a skill, that's the most important thing. And the skills range from coding, writing, learning how to sell. Sales is a huge thing. A lot of people, a lot of coders can't sell, a lot of writers can't sell their piece. So if you can get in between that and help them sell, then that's you are gaining money, right? And all these things are not tied down to a particular company at a particular type of work. It can be applied across the board and from anywhere in the world. And that's the thing. You need to be able to identify the the trend that we're going towards. The trend that we're going towards right now is remote work, right? And you need to be able to develop skills where that it is useful in such an economy. And once you have those skills, you need to start identifying cash flows and try to get in between that. So what I mean by that is, we might think, oh, we don't have a big idea. We need a big idea to become billionaires, millionaires, whatever. It's really not that. What you need to do is identify cash flows. Look at. Let's take the example of Swiggy. you know they identified a cash flow that they can get in between. They identified restaurants and customers, right? They saw cash is flowing from restaurants to from customers to restaurants. They just realized, they just found a way to get in between that. How do they get in between that? By giving them a delivery system. Now Swiggy is a billion-dollar company, almost $1 billion company, right? Same, all these,
Must be more, yeah.
yes, same with Uber, same with Ola. It's very simple ideas executed. You don't have to you rack your brain about, oh no, I need to create the next Facebook, all those things. It's simple ideas. You start small and then it goes from there. But to do that, you need skills. So if you take the example of Swiggy, the founders of Swiggy, they knew how to code. So they just created a piece of code and that's earning them money year after year, right? They don't necessarily have to code anymore. And even if they stop Swiggy, for example, they have enough money to just live comfortably for the rest of their life, right? They are choosing to
and
spend it.
they can continue to earn money from Swiggy because they own, presumably,
Exactly.
they own the company, or they own a significant part of the company.
Yes, that takes us to the next aspect of it. You know, you to get rich, you need to own a piece of you need to own a business or a piece of business or equity, basically, right? And sure, you might be working a 9 to 5, and you may be working on your business, but you don't have a business yet. What you can do is you invest in a business, like stock market. You're basically owning a piece of that business, right? When you own stock of a company, you're owning a piece of that company. If the company does well, you gain profit from it. If it doesn't, you lose money. But that's the basic idea of it. So yeah, you are more from a financial background, right, Akash? So tell me more about stocks and those kind of things. Is that really uh, does that really mean like owning a business, or does it or are we better off creating our own business even if the risks are too high?
Right, so what we have to look for is growth potential, right? If you create a business, the growth potential, it's always, it can either grow or it can't grow. Right? It's basically zero sum, yes or no, right? And even if it grows, can it earn you money? Is very, I mean, you don't really know. Um, but in the stock market, you know to some degree of certainty that a company will continue to grow. I mean, you can do a little bit of analysis and see the growth potential in the company, in the market, against competitors, etc. So, to your question of should you invest in yourself or invest in a company, I don't think there's the way for you to make a differentiation, because you don't know the growth potential of your own business unless you have done some sort of calculated study. And if you have, and you realize that it's better off for me to put, say, X amount of money in myself and grow because I think I can take the X amount of money and make it 2X and 3X,
Hmm.
then that's a 200% return, right? In a couple of years at least. In the stock market, you can definitely not get a 200% return. Um, but you can definitely say, or at least to some degree of certainty, you can say that you can get a 11 to 15% return by investing in safe products like, say, an index fund, which just tracks the best companies or the biggest companies in the particular market, whether it's the Indian market, the US market, etc. And the difference being, now the question should be, why do I get 11% in one place and 200% in another place? Therefore, I should always choose 200 because, logic. The growth potential of the 11% is obviously less than the 200% because these companies have already grown significantly. Like if you would have invested in, say, an Infosys in the 1990s, you would have earned a lot more money than if you invest in an Infosys in, say, 2021.
Hmm.
But if you would have invested in a, perfect example could be Coinbase. If
Hmm.
you would have invested in a Coinbase 6 months ago, they were worth $9 billion or something,
Hmm.
and your investment would have gone up 10x right now, and they're worth close to $100 billion.
Hmm.
And the difference is in the growth potential of the company. Infosys has already grown, or has grown to about as much as it can grow. Certainly can grow more, but can it grow more than it has already in the past 2 decades? Unlikely. Coinbase, on the other hand, or any other company that has recently sprung up, right? They
Hmm.
have a higher growth potential, but they're fairly risky. They were fairly risky 5 years ago to invest in. And similarly, to invest in yourself is fairly risky. You should take the plunge, and certain amount of money should go into, say, investing in yourself, whether it's in the form of a book, in the form of a course, in the form of an experience that will help you, whatever. Uh, but I do feel that as a young person who has a stable, sustainable source of income, whether it's in the form of an income you get from a business that you own and operate, a salary that you get on a weekly, monthly basis from service or goods that you provide, a certain amount, whether that be uh, 10%, 20%, 30% of your income, whatever that number is, whatever is comfortable for you, should definitely go into the stock market, because preferably in the domestic stock market in the country where you live, because obviously the expense, it's cheaper to invest in your own market than in the international market. And you won't get a 200% return, but you will get something, and that something will be worth 11%. And if you compound that over, say, a 5 to 10 year period, and supplement that by every increase in salary that you get over the years, um, you will definitely in, gain a significant amount of money by at the end of, say, a 5 year period, enough for you to, say, survive, depending on how much your allocation is.
But
So
here,
the question again is growth potential versus non-growth potential.
so but here's my sort of not, not not a counter, but a point to what you said is that I believe that if you're earning, let's say, 30K per month in your current job, and that is, and you're barely getting by, you're living paycheck to paycheck. At that time, when it comes to from a personal finance aspect, what you said is true. Like, you should invest in at least certain amount, even if you're just living paycheck to paycheck. You're saying that you should invest at least a little bit of it in the market, right? But what I believe is that one shouldn't do that, because you're better off investing that whatever meager amount that you will have left for investing. You'd rather invest it in yourself. What I mean by yourself is that you invest in a course or a book that will help you double your income or increase your income. So that's what I feel. Rather than invest that meager amount in the market and gain some sort of returns after 5 years, you can double those returns if you invest that in yourself, like buying a book and reading about whatever, how you can get a promotion in your job, or how to build a business, or investing in those kind of courses, books, or resources. I think I know it can be riskier, but the rewards are the returns or rewards are much higher than the stock market, and that's what I think. Do you agree to that? Do you think that's a good strategy, because you're the expert in personal finance? Uh, what
Yeah,
do you think?
I think some part of it is true, where if, say, in your example, you earn 30,000 rupees a month, and a certain part of it can definitely go into yourself, whether it's in the form of a course, book, experience, whatever, and that will help you get that promotion or increase your salary by X%. But the probability of that happening is up to the person, and it is not 100%. That is the reason why he or she is attempting to invest in themselves. The probability of you getting a 10% return on a stock market investment, whether it's an equity investment, a debt investment, um, is pretty much 100%. And obviously, nobody can predict what the markets do, but if, say, you invest in a debt fund, you will get a 7% return every year. Compound that a couple of years, and you will definitely get a decent return. That is obviously not enough. Nobody wants a 7% return, especially when, like, your, say, a fixed deposit, which is like a traditional go-to investment for at least the average Indian, is giving you 6%. Nobody wants a 1% higher return, right?
Hmm.
So they
Yeah.
want something more. Uh, I would say start if you are a 20-year-old who is looking to build long-term wealth sustainably, which is doing it month after month, year after year, you have to allocate us. The first step is to decrease your expenses to a certain degree, at least frivolous expenses, stuff that you can substitute out, and lower the quality.
Okay.
The amount that you save through expenses can be again, those are just pure savings. Now you have to compound those savings over time, because money kept in your pocket is always depreciating. Money kept in the bank is also depreciating, at least not by that much, but it still is. Now you have now your expenses are lower, you're saving some amount of money. So let's say out of that 30,000 rupees, you're saving, say, after expenses, 10,000 rupees, which is a fairly decent amount. It's a third of everything that you
It would be
receive.
great if you could do that.
Yeah,
10,000.
a third, great.
Yeah.
Right? Now, say you decide that, okay, I need to do something with this 10,000 to increase my future potential.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say take the entire 10,000 rupees and spend it on courses, experiences, books, anything that can um, increase your salary by a certain amount. I would say, depending on where you are in your life, figure out how much you can split between growth potential assets, which is courses, books, etc., and sure growth assets or 100% growth assets, right? Um, let's say it's a 50-50 split. Now that 10,000 rupees is split 5,000, 5,000. 5,000 goes into books, courses, etc. And the other 5,000, you think that I want a sure shot return on this 5,000 rupees, right? Meaning I want to get, even if I get 7 to 15%, I'm good as long as I'm getting something. Now you take that 5,000 rupees, and in India you can like buy again another go-to stock market investment. Sorry, a go-to financial instrument investment is a mutual fund, as is in many other countries. And in India, with several products like say Zerodha, Grow, etc., you can buy a mutual fund for as low as 100 rupees a month, which is great. So you take that 5,000 that you decide that you want growth potential on, you split it based on how risk averse you are. Let's say you're a young guy who wants to take risks, right? And you're like, screw this debt thing that gives me only 7%. I would rather go for like a hot stock, high growth equity investment. What we discussed earlier is equity allows you to own a piece of a business. You won't own a significant percent of that business, but you will definitely own a good amount, right? And take that 5,000 rupees. You're a 20-year-old who can take a lot of risks, so I would suggest split it. I don't know, 4:1 equity to debt. Put 4,000 of that in several equity funds, right? And put 1,000 of that into a stable debt fund. And that's a good split. So now the way we've seen it is from the 30,000 rupees that you had, 5,000 goes into courses, books, anything that can take your 30,000 and improve it to 60, 50, whatever. The other 5,000, which is a decent amount, can go into assets that grow at say 10% a year. So that 5,000 becomes 5,500 every year. So that's 5,000 into 12, right? So that's 60,000 rupees a year. And that 60,000 rupees can grow at 60 to 66 at minimum, which is a decent amount. So in another, and every year you'll probably increase 5,000 to say 6,000, 7,000, right? So in that sense, I think the split of growth assets in yourself, because you are a growth asset, right? And assets that you are basically telling that here, you take this money and handle it for me and get a certain amount of return on the 5,000 rupees that I give you, and give me a sure return on that. That's, I think, a good strategy to have for any young person making certain amount of money like this.
Yeah, makes sense. But I still personally believe that you're better off investing all of it in your own growth. I know we sort of differ. Maybe it's because I'm comforting myself because that's what I'm doing. But yeah, I think yeah, both ways are good. Like if you can do either one, it's good. Like if you can, but you really brought out the aspects of personal finance, which is cutting down your expenses and thinking about investing, and that's the key thing. You forget about investing in yourself or investing wherever, but you need to start thinking about investing, like saving enough to invest in whatever, and that's the key thing that most young people sort of forget. They get a paycheck 30K and they just going out blowing it all. Yeah. Yeah, and the next month they're back to square one, right? And that's not good. That's not a good idea either ways. Even if you're not investing in anything, if you're just keeping it in your bank, I think that's still better than going out and blowing it all the way. And we highly suggest you don't just keep it in your bank. You'd rather invest in something that's much better than just rotting in the bank, where inflation is reducing the value of that particular money every year. That's there. And then there's obviously the crypto market, which is very fun. which is very fun, and it might be taking off soon. So a lot more people will be hearing about that. But yeah, the investment opportunities are high. All you need to do is start thinking about how you can start saving money to invest, right? So that's I think personal finance 101. Uh, yeah, I think we talked a lot about how how to increase your wealth, like developing the skills that the market requires, or the evergreen skills like writing, coding, that'll always be there, and the skills that can help you sort of leverage that particular skill and earn more money without renting out your time. If you write a piece of um, blog, or if you write a piece of code, those will keep earning you money, keep yeah, earning you money for a long period of time. So those are the skills that you need to think about, uh, and uh, and yeah, personal finance 101 was given by Akash. This is basically save at least part of what you're earning, and yeah, I think that's the basic, like very basic aspect of how you can think about increasing your wealth and your net worth by the time you reach your 30s. And this is not just a strategy for young guys in their 20s, it can also be a strategy for guys in their 30s, 40s, right? And this is just a very basic idea that we have given. We will definitely explore more of it in the future episodes. When we are also on this journey of acquiring wealth uh, by the time we reach our 30s, and this is our perspective at this particular age, and we share the same perspective, which is good. But maybe as we move forward, we might differ in our perspectives, and we might find different ways to acquire that wealth and acquire and reach that goal. So then again, we'll still be uh, thinking about that, and we'll still keep uh, talking about that. That's going to be an interesting conversation. So we really hope you got something out of this. Do you have any other thoughts about this, Akash, in the that you might have missed out?
I think we've covered the basics, where find a skill, learn how to monetize it, find a medium, learn how to take that skill on and give it to several people all across the world. Once you do end up with a certain amount of money, know that you have to cut your expenses and invest, whether in yourself or in other equity assets. So the point being, you need to own a piece of a particular business, whether it's your own or someone else's. And if you do that over a long period of time, you can compound it and gain a significant amount of wealth.
Yes, perfect. So that's it from us this week. We'll see you again next week. Next week. Until then, take care.